off your tips of your fingers. That's better.
There's nothing better than a good game of basketball for Constable Henare Jones and his 15-year-old son Tama. Henare's been a solo dad with 100% care of Tama since he turned 5.
Does it feel good when it leaves your hands? So when does your season start for basketball?
Next term, I think, sometime, like term 2.
And what grade are you looking at?
Like C's.
C's,
Yeah.
B's, or whatever you get
C's,
into.
I guess.
Comms to WG3. Looks like we've found your runaways. Taxi picked them up and they're at the hospital. Baby born.
Frontline work with the police can be dangerous, demanding and 24/7. Difficult for any parent, let alone a single parent, which is why Henare, who's Māori and in his 40s, gave up his frontline work with the police to become a youth aid officer working with schools in the Wellington region.
She may have been party to the initial call. We can't locate the motive.
If I had stayed on the front line, there was no way that I could do what I do now, and that's because of the shifts. You know, I couldn't take my little boy to work at 10 p.m. at night through to 5 a.m. It just wouldn't work.
And being a sole parent, you didn't have anybody there to look after Tama, did you?
Being frontline, there was just no way I could do it. It was just too hard. And then this opportunity came up, and the hours were, from 8 through to 4 p.m, which was perfect for him.
And for you as a father. Welcome to Flying Solo, true stories about bringing up your kids on your own. Stats New Zealand say about a quarter of sole parents are Māori. Of Māori sole parents, around 15% are male. Constable Jones is numbered amongst those. He's also amongst 1/3 of sole parents who work full-time, juggling the job with his solo dad duties.
Child abuse is a factor in our society we cannot ignore. Young people
Out of concern for their families, we've agreed not to use their real names, even though the details of their story are all very real. Instead, we'll call them Henare and Tama.
So the teachers are the ones, as I've mentioned on the clip, they're the ones that are running the program because they know the children. Okay, and over time they can see if a child is upset or something.
At Kashmir Primary School in Kandala, Henare is conducting a Keep Ourselves Safe, or COS, program with parents and teaching staff. In the session today, you used your son and your own parenting as an example.
Yeah, it personalises it to, so that they understand it. Even as a police officer, we have families and we face the same concerns and worries that they do. And I think sometimes we take it for granted that because we, as adults and parents, that we automatically assume that our children haven't inherited our knowledge around safety and what to do.
For Henare, it's all about Tama. Surrounded by sporting trophies at their large, comfortable and spotless family home in Wellington, Henare takes me back to where it all started, with Tama's mum. It was a tough start as a solo dad.
So her and I lived together for a while, and she had always wanted to have a child.
This has been now 16 years ago.
Yeah. And then she got pregnant and everything was fine, but in week 11 the baby didn't have a heartbeat.
So it miscarried.
So it miscarried. And she took it really, really hard, and our relationship deteriorated over a short period of time after that. We separated, and then I got that she appeared at work one afternoon, and I knew there was something wrong because she had tears in her eyes, and she said that she was pregnant. So we sat down, we talked about it, and I said to her that no matter what she chose, I would support her decision. So if she chose to have the baby, then that was fine, and if she decided not, then I would support her in that decision as well. But it came down to her. It was ultimately her decision. But I would be there to support her. And then we came to an agreement that if I stayed with her for the pregnancy and was basically at her beck and call, then I could name him. Beck and call just meant that I would help her,
all the
support her,
antenatal classes, everything.
And as time went on, she got bigger. I would drive her to the supermarket and I would help her with her shopping and just whatever she needed. She doesn't have a driver's license or a car, so if she needed to go and see her doctor and have tests done, then I would take her to that. And that was prior to me going into the police.
And what was it like to hold Tama for the first time?
It was surreal. It was, because he looked like a raisin. It was just, it was just so fragile. And like he sat on my forearm. I could just hold him. He was so tiny.
Also, they had her under observation because of the postnatal depression?
Yeah, I think it was that they could see there was, she was struggling, and because of, the tough time that she had, they thought that if he would latch, then that would, be a good recovery for her.
But it didn't quite happen. She then went on to she was on the DPB and trying to be a solo mum herself.
Yes.
And you were being as supportive as you could, living close by.
In the beginning, she was primary care, and I would come and visit them every day. Depending on her mood, it would either be, it was hard if she was annoyed at me, no. And I don't know what for, but it would be no. And then the next day I'd be there. And I think she craved adult company. So I would look after him, and she would go to the gym and train and hang out with her friends. And have a break. Yeah. I do know that there are, and you hear about it on the news, where guys want to have that connection
with their children,
and seeing it in my job, it is, the courts are changing and they're looking at it, because a lot of children need male role models in their lives, especially if it's the father, and if the father wants to be involved in that child's life, then they should. It shouldn't be a decision where they, just because the mother and father don't get on, and there may have been violence between the mother and father, it's penalising the child as well. If the child and, if the parents are better apart and they both love the children, well, it should be, the children should be their first priority. We can't live together. It's hot, and the atmosphere is absolutely wrong for a child to be brought up in that. But when we're apart, we're okay. We're civil to each other, and there's not that tension. And he knows it. He feels safe, and he can travel between both parents if he wants to. And there isn't that that whole betrayal. That I'm going to mum's or I'm going to dad's. It's
easy.
It's easy. Tama's mother just didn't like the idea of me being a police officer. She liked the idea of the job, but not what it involved. The reality, the dangers of being on front line, and she couldn't take that. It was just too stressful for her, and that didn't help matters either.
You said the toughest point was having to go to a lawyer. What happened there? That was to become the proper full primary caregiver.
Because she was the primary care, every decision she made was final.
Legal guardianship.
Yeah, legal guardianship. So if I came around to get him to, have the weekend with him, so we had an unwritten agreement that I would have him from Friday night through to Sunday night in the weekends.
Every single weekend.
Every single weekend. And then she would ring up on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Thursday, and I'd go around to her place and babysit while she went to her aerobics classes or spin classes or to the gym. So that was fine. The more time I had, the better.
Because you really enjoyed that one-on-one with your son.
So when it was like that and it was consistent, that was great. But depending on where she was or how she was feeling, I could turn up on that day and she'd say no. And, you know, if I'm looking forward to seeing him, that's really hard. And I could feel the frustration and anger building up, and I thought, no, this is not. You know, we need to have some sort of agreement that was binding.
And that's why you decided
and then I went and got a lawyer
to
in
family court.
It was great. I mean, the process was easy. They sent us away for counselling first.
Mediation.
We had to do 6 sessions, and on the first session we got there, and it was the first question the lady asked was, are we here for to help your relationship, or are we here to talk about living arrangements with Tama? And then that was sorted. She didn't object to that. I mean, in our first one it was and I think the hardest thing for her was admitting that she knew, but to actually say it was that she wasn't a mother. She was a career woman, and
it was a real struggle for her.
It was a struggle. I thought that was really brave of her to actually say it. She would probably carried that around for a very long time, and to finally come out and actually say it took a lot of weight off her shoulder. I mean, his mother, she's really, really good. She loves him, absolutely loves him to bits. But, she sometimes struggles looking after herself. And to have somebody dependent on her all the time is a huge responsibility. I think she loves the idea of being a mum. She loves the idea of having a house with a picket fence. But in reality, it's she's just like a caged cat. She just needs to have her space when she wants to have her space, and not have those confines and those ties.
And he stays with his mum when he every now and then there'll be times
so
when he goes up.
He'll go up there for school holidays, and it depends on what he's got on. One of the things that she always used to drive home to me was, they're only young once, and if you don't take the opportunity, you're going to miss out. But I don't think she took that advice on board, because now he's older, the time that he wants or the time that he spends with her is less and less and less. And I think the realisation is that, she's missed all of that time, and she's trying to make up for it the best way that she can.
She was still living here you were both living in the neighbourhood. So she was in the neighbourhood in Wellington until 5 years ago that she shifted up.
Yeah, she met a partner. That relationship broke down. She met another partner, and she's been up there. She's married now to him. We only found that out because it was on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And I think that was quite a surprise.
But his mum hadn't shared that little detail?
No. So, but he knows that. He knows at the end of the day that my how I feel about him, my love for him is unconditional. And with Mum, there are conditions. And it depends on how she's feeling about what's happening, and he accepts that. I mean, he loves her. She Skypes him every so often, or quite often, and she puts some money into his FPOS account. So she does the best that she can. That's it. Make sure with your hand that it comes in front of your face. That's it.
So, Tama, what was it like, growing up? You were with your dad from the age of 5 onwards, and he was looking after you full time.
It was, at first it was hard, because I'd always have to go to my mum's and stuff. And that would just be real fun, and then coming back sometimes it would get the two spectrums of going from very relaxed because I don't see my mum often to being kind of strict because I'm with my father often. Was difficult, but then slowly it got easier as I got older.
Yes.
And it was pretty good. We shared a lot of sporting moments and sporting success together, and he'd always help me no matter what. So yeah.
Did you feel like you had more sort of discipline with your dad and a bit more structure?
Yeah, I felt like I learned a lot more, or pretty much all of my life skills through him. And then when I went to mum's, it was just relax, have fun, just pretty much that's it. But at home, it was learning what to do and how what you do in life can affect you, what to do if certain situations happen and stuff like that.
Was it important to have that structure for your son?
Yeah, because he's a very regimented person, and he likes to have that structure. He likes to know that this is the time that he does his homework, or this is the time that he can watch and play his games. He likes that structure, that he knows what to do. And when he used to go and visit his mum, it was just a fun time for him to be and to hang out. But he did really well. He has done really well at school, and now he knows when he's the time that he is to catch the bus. He's not the greatest morning person, so he gets out of bed at the last minute if he can hang in there.
What do you think of that, Tama?
Yeah, pretty true. Yeah.
And he gets out of bed and it's like a whirlwind. He likes his structure that now he's a lot older. He's in control. He's a lot more independent. I've stopped coaching him in sports. He needs to learn a lot more life skills on his own, and making mistakes is part of that, because you don't learn unless you make mistakes. He's made a few mistakes, but he's learnt from that, and that's all you can do.
What do you reckon, Tama, what your dad has said about what your dad's?
Some stuff was real dumb. I guess I'd stay out. I'd say I'd be coming home at this time, but I'd be I'll just stay 5 minutes with you guys, and then it would turn into 10:30.
This is when you're going out with mates or something?
Yeah, so when I went to play basketball and stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, but it did when I got home, it would show I'd arrive home, and if I'd not finished homework, I'd be stressing out, and it would be hard because I'd be stressing out, and then my work, all my homework would not be done to the best it probably could be. It would just be the bare minimum or less sometimes. So yeah.
So you're looking at it, and then so it should go in a straight line, straight out in front. That's it.
Now, you've been really big in his life. You have shaped his life. You have shaped Tama. Any moments where you've been worried as a parent for Tama, trying not to tear your hair out?
Yeah, you're always constantly aware, but one of the biggest concerns I do have is they're constantly, while they're out and about and walking around, they're hooked in with their earplugs into their devices, and you see so much on the news about people getting run over and those sorts of things because they are distracted by what they're listening to. And that's, to me at the moment, seems to be my biggest fear. Is you look around and the majority of students are walking around with these earplugs in and oblivious to what's happening around them.
Do you make sure Tama doesn't do that?
Every day I get on his case.
You've been a frontline officer and now you're a youth aid officer. You will have seen the best and the worst of society, I think.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, the area that I work in, and I always look at it as a child, they're not born bad. It's how they're brought up or their environment, or, sometimes it's just a necessity for them for survival. They have to behave in a certain way just to survive. They don't have, their parents are unable to provide those things that, kids crave.
So you see this with kids and gangs or youth getting into enormous amounts of trouble, ending up in front of the courts.
Yeah, I mean,
And this is children or youth that are your son's age.
Yeah, and they end up in gangs because they form like a brotherhood. They become part of a family where, what they do is valued by the others, and if they're not getting that attention or that love from home, then they're going to go where they can, and nobody wants to be alone. They all want to be a part of something, whether you're a part of a sports team or a club or a gang. You want to belong to something, and unfortunately some of these youth end up on the wrong side of the law, and it's a slippery slope, and it's you hear really good stories where they end up turning their lives around, but it comes at a cost, and it's a long time to be angry before you come full circle and try and come back full circle.
And as a parent yourself, would that be the biggest thing in your life was to make sure Tama turned out right?
And he's going to make mistakes, and I've always told him that no matter what happens, I'm not going to be angry at him. I will be disappointed in what he's done or the decision that he's made, but that's not going to change how I feel, and that I love him and that I'm proud of him.
So if he ended up breaking the law by for whatever reason, you would always love him.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed in what he's done, and that's it. The incident that he's or the behaviour that he's shown, but that's not going to change how I feel about him as a person. And I would hope that, I've always told him if you screw up, step up to the plate and take it. Just admit it straight away. Don't deny it, because you don't have the capacity to lie. You'll get caught out, and that only makes it worse. So, just own it and then accept what's going to happen.
Most importantly, you just said it before, you'll always love him.
Yeah. Yep. Always love him. Without a doubt. He will screw up here and there, and like we all do, we all make mistakes. But, you hope that they learn from those mistakes and they don't become a habit. So, yeah, and I'm not perfect either. So, it's... Yeah, he'll be fine. As long as he takes those earplugs out when he crosses the road.
Ko Lynda Chanwai-Earle aho, and you've been listening to Flying Solo, engineered by RNZ's Jason McClelland. In Flying Solo next week, we meet a solo parent who's in the majority, Pākehā solo mum Imogen and her 4-year-old son, Mania. You can find us on iTunes or check out our webpage, radionz.co.nz/Flying Solo.